Welcome, family. It's been a hot minute. In this clip, we will observe the sun's movement on the track system. As the sun goes past, I want you to pay attention to this line. This is the track the sun is currently on. This faint line is the track the sun will connect with to continue its path across the sky. The track comes up from behind and makes the connection, and then carries the sun to another track on the right, which it will set on. Let's take a look at the clip again and go into more detail. This time, I want you to pay attention to these areas. The multicolors suggest that there is some form of polarization happening. The two areas I pointed out earlier are being obfuscated by the polarization of light. In fact, mostly all what is above is being obfuscated, and we are only seeing partially what is there. Before we move on, let's take a look at how polarization works.
This is a flashlight, and it's going to produce unpolarized light. And I can demonstrate this for you by using a polarizer. So this polarizer here is labeled axes, and it has a little arrow, and that shows you which way it lets through, or which polarization it lets through it. So the first thing you notice is that this is somewhat dimmer than the background, and that's because it's not letting all the light through it. It's only letting the light that's polarized, in this case, with the electric field horizontal. So if we look at our light source through this, it's dimmer, but it's still there. Now we can rotate it around, and again, light's still getting through. So we have light that's getting through that's both vertically polarized, horizontally polarized, and everywhere in between. Now, if we expand this, we take another polarizer, it's just the same. Again, now we've got the axis horizontal. We can have light pass through one polarizer and then the other one. So if we put them this way, you see all of the light gets through, and that's because after it goes through this one, it's horizontally polarized, and that horizontally polarized light gets through, makes through the second one. Now, if we rotate these so that one of them is perpendicular to the other one, now all of a sudden no light's getting through. And that's because the light that comes through this one first, to show you how these are set up like that, is all horizontally polarized, but this one only lets through vertically polarized light. So as a result, no light gets through. Do this with our flashlight again. Oop. Okay.
Let's take a closer look at what's going on. In the top right-hand corner above the sun, there is a line that is part of the mechanism that transports it across the sky. As you can see, only the top portion of the line is visible. The rest of the object is being obfuscated. Let's bring it back and take a look at the multicolored section, which shows the effect of the polarization. Here we can see the same effect shown in the demonstration video occurring. There are multiple polarized layers overlapping each other. These are the gears of the sky that form translucent tracks, which are like stacked polarized pixels. What would seem to be empty blue space between the clouds is actually a membrane of stacked polarized gears, which create the track system and can change color and form, as well as replicating themselves from the macro to micro scales. Now, pay attention to this area. Remember what I just showed you? Note how the gears are stacked in layers that are creating the tracks. These gears would be considered to be in polarized mode, outside our frequency of sight. As the sun gets closer to its apex, the gears located at its highest point become noticeable. When the sun reaches its apex, it is now positioned in its dead center. As it reaches this position, both the track system from the east and west meet at a central point and achieve equilibrium. The light reflecting back from the sun's projection is causing the multicolored section to become visible. As the eastern track connects to the western track to transport the sun over and away from the central point, it then joins another track to the far right where it will set. Now I will show you some of the mechanics of the sky which is obfuscated from your sight. These areas are parts of the sky track system. The clouds you see every day are transported on them. Here, we can see a network of tracks spanning the sky. The sky gears are fully visible. Remember this? Now let's look back at the other clip. Now you see, reality is stranger than fiction. Off goes the sun and on comes the moon, riding its own track through the night sky. Thank you for watching, and I hope this gave you a higher understanding of the realm we live in, one love.
If you look at scientifically, the light spectrum, the human brain could only access a certain portion of it. And
a very tiny portion.
It's supposed to be accessing more. This is where you go into I'll just use the term DNA to allow people to follow through with this. Because a lot of this science is, when it comes to DNA, cells, and etc., the heart isn't necessarily 100% accurate. But let's just say DNA. So we have a double helix DNA. And so we're only using those two strands, which is only allowing us access to a very limited light spectrum. But you can measure the DNA in the body. They say 12 helix supposed to be 13, and that's perfectly mirrored off the construct design. They even measured within the brain that we have 13 dimensional structures within the brain, which is all connecting to this. So they limited the body to only access a small portion of all that is around us. Like everybody right here, right now, has the ability to know all things. You're already the all-knowing being of everything. You're just in forgetfulness of how to access that. And right now, like I said, with the light spectrum thing, all information is in we'll just call it the energetic field of all things. No different from, let's replace your physical body with a computer and the internet with the field of all things. There is a firmament above us. This is a construct. And when people think of what they consider the firmament, the plane, they think of, well, this is something that's, they think of space, and they think of what they've been told about space. And what space is literally dimensional access points. It's just portals. That's all space is. It's just you're bending space and time, basically, when you go into space to access a dimension or to access another realm. And the bending of space and time could also be done through accessing the 12 stargates, which is through the cores of the realm. You could say the sun is a stargate as well, because the sun is not a gassy ball in space. And when you ask yourself, where does light come from? What is actual light? Where does light come from? And people don't really ask these questions. When you think of where light is coming from the sun anyways. The sun's light is coming from bridging of multiple dimensions and realms and bringing that light through. This is why it's considered a stargate as well. Even yourself right now, you are the creator of light. When you close your eyes, you're in darkness, and it's only when you start to imagine something you birth light into creation. We are literally the creators of light. And even God said that as well in the Bible. Light was always secondary. He created the earthly realm. He said, let there be light, let there be light.